What is up, guys? Eric from AndroidSyndicate.com here, back with a brand new video. This is going to be a continuation of the layout series in Android. If you'd like to see the full written guide, you can visit my blog at www.androidsyndicate.com. And without further ado, let's get right into it. To start things off, we're going to make a new project, and we're going to go ahead and name this Linear Layout. So, to tell you a little bit about the linear layout, a linear layout displays its views next to each other, either vertically or horizontally. If it's vertically, the views are displayed in a single column. If it's horizontally, the views are displayed in a single row. Let's look at how you define a linear layout. So if we go over here to our activity_main XML, we can see we currently have a relative layout. But we could change that simply by changing the word relative to linear. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. As you can see here, some of the things don't change from a linear layout to a relative layout, such as the layout width and layout height. Those are required for all layouts. Something that will differ though is now we can choose the orientation, and that's going to be done by the attribute Android orientation. So let's go ahead and test out what a vertical orientation will do. Alright, taking a look at how this vertical orientation affects our widgets, we can see here that all our buttons are placed in a single column here. And if I try to add another one, you see that the only place that it can go is directly below the other one. So each one stays in its own single column. So that is the vertical orientation. Let's go ahead and take a look at what it would be like if it were horizontal. I'm just going to go over here into the text view. Change this to vertical horizontal. You can see that when I drag an object here, it gives us different columns that we can place it into. And every time you can add a different column. So this is what it's like when you use the horizontal. So you get separate columns. There's only a single row, but many columns. Alright, let's make things more exciting. Having buttons just in a row isn't very useful to us. Here we're going to create a simple email application. The components that we're going to want are two edit text fields, one to enter the address and one to enter the message, as well as a send button. So let's go ahead and get the basics set up. First, we're going to change it back from horizontal to vertical. Once we've changed it back to vertical, let's go ahead and get our basic setup. So we want our two edit text fields, as well as a button. I'm going to go ahead and make some string resources for these edit text fields and buttons. I'll be with you shortly. We can see over here, I created a few string resources for our edit text fields and our send button. Let's go back over here to our main layout, and we can see that I removed the text and I also added this Android hint field with the string resource that we created in the string XML. So I have one for each edit text field as well as the button. If we hop over to the design view, we'll see now we have our two hints and our send button. So we are moving right along here. Typically you see the send message button not to be quite as big as this, so let's go ahead and fix that right now. Let's go to our text view, and we just want it to wrap the content and not match the parent. So if we go down to our button, we can see the width is set to match parent, but let's change that to wrap content. Let's go see what that did. And as we can see now, our message button is a lot smaller. And that's exactly what we want. Something that you may have immediately noticed is that these views only take up as much space as it takes to fill their content. For example, this message edit text only takes up enough to fill the hint. However, we want to have a greater space, and how we're going to accomplish that is by using weight. Allocating weight to a view is a way of telling it to stretch to take up extra space in the layout. How we're going to do this is by using the attribute layout_weight. So let's go ahead and add that now. If we go over here to our message, edit text, and we add the Android layout weight, And the value that we insert here is a number greater than 0. To start out, we're going to just put a 1. Let's go ahead and check out what adding that weight of 1 did. As we can see, we attained almost a desirable result. The message field is now much greater, except that the message hint appears in the middle, but we'll fix that in a moment. Alright, let's go ahead and address this little problem here of having the message hint in the middle. What we're going to use is an attribute known as Android Gravity. And that attribute lets you specify where you want to position the contents of the view inside the view. For example, how you want to position a text inside a text field. If you want the text inside a view to appear at the top, the following code would work. Android Gravity Top. So let's go ahead and implement that right now. Let's go to our text view, and for our message right here, we're going to add Android Gravity Top. Let's go ahead and look and see what that did. And as you can see, we achieved the desired result right here. The message hint is now appearing at the top of the view. Alright, so now that we have our message aligned here at the top, and that's exactly what we want, let's go ahead and fix this little send message button here. So let's go into the text. Well, why don't I first demonstrate a useful tip? If you want to edit a view, you can hold Shift and left click in the design view, and that will bring you to where it's defined in the XML. Returning to what we were doing, let's change the position of the send message button. We once again are going to use the Android Gravity to have the button aligned to the left. Let's hop back over to the design view, and we can clearly see that we have it positioned exactly where we like. Something that I found myself asking is, why do we have to use this layout gravity when in a relative layout we can use the layout_align_right attribute? I mean, surely that would be the same thing. However, come to find out, there are some attributes that are specific to certain layouts. So the layout_width and layout_height, those attributes are for every type of layout. However, many attributes are specific to certain types of layouts. For instance, the layout_align_right is used only with relative layouts, while something like gravity is used with linear layouts. That's all we're going to cover in this video. If you'd like to add functionality to this application, check out my Action Intents guide. This will explain how to send a message through activities such as Gmail. The full source code will be available on GitHub, and the link is in the description. If you would like, you can see a full written guide. Visit my blog at www.androidsyndicate.com. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. I'm going to be posting new videos every week.